so lovely to see you and welcome to our workshop on watercolours. I'm really excited today. I really love this project. I hope you enjoy too. Whenever I run workshops, for me it's so important that we just have fun together. For me, that's the whole point of art, is having fun and experimenting. And sometimes it doesn't go right the first time, and that's absolutely okay. In fact, that's very much expected. And when we're experimenting, that happens. So don't be disheartened if it doesn't go right the first time, or you might find that it goes perfectly the first time and you're really pleased with it. So, what we'll be doing today is we'll be going through 3 projects. And the first project is watercolour, and basically abstract watercolour. So here's an example that I've done, and I'll be putting this up near the screen when we're doing this project. The second project we'll be doing is watercolour monsters. So here we are. So we're going to start with lots of splodges of watercolour and then add little details in to make the monsters. And then the third project today we'll be doing a lot today, is these almost like mandala style on top of a watercolour. Okay, now it may be that I show you the first project and actually you just want to stick with that project and spend the rest of your time just concentrating on that. Or it may be that you'd like to have a go at everything. Yeah, it's whatever you prefer. You can use this time how you would like. So to go through what we'll need, just in case you're not sure, we're going to need a tin of watercolours. We're also going to need preferably 2 pots of water if you have them. If you just have 1 pot of water, that's absolutely fine. We'll need a paintbrush. So the one I've got here, it's got a rounded edge and it's a fairly thick one. Basically just so you can make nice bold marks. If you have a thinner one, don't worry though. Yep, we'll need watercolour paper and a black pen. What else do we need? Oh, if you have any coloured pens, that would be fab, but you don't need them. A white pen, if you happen to have one in the house, is also great. I'm working on a surface which is covered in this sheet, just to make sure that I don't get the underneath all painty. Basically just make sure you protect your surface and just wear clothes that you don't mind if they get a little bit of paint on. If you have a straw, that would be great, but you don't necessarily need one. And a hairdryer. I have my hairdryer ready. Again, you don't need one, but it just quickens up that drying time a little bit. And I'll show you why we need all of these things in a little bit. So, let's start. So I'm just going to pop this one here. I'm just going to pop it in here so that you can see it properly. Hopefully nice and close to the screen. And if you want to, let's not get the reflection. If you want at any point, if you have a question or want to comment about something, then there's a comments box just on the side, and I'll be trying to make sure I keep an eye on them so that I can answer any questions that you have. Obviously, if you have any questions afterwards as well, you can just contact me as well. You can contact me on Flying Fish Studio. That's the space that I work at in Sheffield. So let's start with this project. You can choose the size of watercolour paper that you'd like. I've chosen quite a small piece for today because I'm going to be doing a fairly quick one, but you could do a massive piece if you would like to. So this is the size that I'm having, and I filled my 2 pots with water. What I'm going to do is, there's different types of watercolours that you can do. There's 2 main techniques. One is wet on wet and one is wet on dry. So wet on wet is where you'd have the paper already wet and then you put the wet watercolours on. And wet on dry is when you have the paper dry and you put the wet watercolours on. So we're doing wet on dry today. So we're going to keep this dry for now. We're going to choose our favourite colours. So for me, I really wanted to do like sunsetty colours on mine. So I chose the reds, the oranges, the yellows. I might try some blues today. So all I'm going to do is I've wet my paintbrush, and in my watercolour palette, I'm just going to choose the colour that I want, and I'm going to give it a good mix. Now at the moment, your watercolours will be quite dry. So you want to get them nice and wet. You might want to keep adding some more water. Just use one of your pots at the moment. We just want to get some of that gorgeous colour into our water and giving that a good mix. And then it's all about making marks on your page. So I'm going to hold it up and try and do it. And so I could literally just sweep across, just like that. I could do circles. So with a circle, I might just prefer to paint the outline of a circle and then like this, and then colour it in. So we're basically just making random shapes on the page at the moment. And then after that is when we'll be using the black pen to doodle on top. So I'm using one of my paint pots to get most of the colour off, and then my other paint pot, which is still clean, I'm going to use to just get those tiny bits of remaining colour off. That's a really good way of having a nice clean paintbrush. So one, which is like your dirty paintbrush, paint pot, and your other, which is your nice clean one. If you only have one paint pot, just make sure you change your water regularly. So I'm going to do some other blue as well. So I'm going to make sure it's mixed well, and I'm going to do some more patterns on my paper. I think I might do a squiggle. Okay, so I really am just going very random at the moment. Really like this yellow as well. So I'm going to get some of this on. What you could do as well is you don't have to just have block colours. If one of them's still wet, you can put a little bit of colour in. That will probably turn a greeny colour now, and you can blend it in like that. That's quite fun. So I might blend some colours in. Just hold it up so you can see some of the colours are blended into a yellowy green colour instead. If you want to say hi on the chat, it would be lovely to know that I'm not just painting by myself. I'm sure I'm not. But yes, it would be lovely to hear from you. And again, if you have any questions, do just ask away. I'm going to include some green this time. So it's really, if you find that your paint is quite pale, like what I've done there, it just means that you need to give your paint a little bit more of a mix so that you've not got too much water. You need to actually get some colour out as well. So if I go over that, got a bit of a darker colour there. So if I just leave you to experiment for a little bit, just putting lots of different colours in. You can overlap the colours as well. So different shapes. So I might do another. Do like a good squiggle. So I might do a few squiggles around. You might want it really minimalistic and actually not have much paint on, and you're just going to be doing a lot of doodling. You might even have a particular scene in your head. So for this one here, this round yellow splodge, I kind of pictured as the sun in my head. It may not look like the sun to you, but in my head it did. And then I kind of did the plants growing up towards the sun. People might interpret your painting differently, but that's okay. Let's get some more. If you're wanting to mix any colours, if you have a tile or a paint pot, or even you can use the underside of your watercolour tin, you can just get some paint, put it in there. Sometimes it's only a little bit, but it still will be fine for what we're doing. I'm going to add a little bit of the other blue actually. I might mix the two blues so I've got a slightly different shade of blue. Okay, so like here, I've got a slightly different shade, and then I'm going to go on and paint with this shade of blue. Make sure your paintbrush is wet enough so you don't get fuzzy colour. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow. It's sometimes nice to have a little bit of a contrasting colour. So I'm going to have a bit of this mustard yellow, mix it around a lot. I think I'm going to do a circle up at the top. So yeah, have a play with these colours. And I think I'm going to do another circle there actually, I like this yellow. So, here is my background so far. Now what I'm going to do, oops, wrong pot, I need to do it in the dirty one then, the clean one. Can always change that water later. Now what we're going to do is, depending on how wet your piece is, mine's actually quite dry at the moment, but if yours is wet, if you have a hairdryer with you, you can just give it a quick dry. Now don't worry if you're not onto this stage yet, just keep going with your painting and then you can move on to the doodling after. So mine's quite dry, so I'm going to start with the doodling. Now you can see on here, I really went very random. If I stand up a little bit, so you can paint actually within the paint itself, or you can do extra doodles. So for example, around the sun shape, I did doodles on the white area, okay? Or you can do just like doodles, I did doodles up here, and basically filling the space how you would like. Now on this one, down here, I made sure that all of the black pens stayed within that colour, and that can look really, really effective. So I did lots of doodles, but all contained within that colour. I will leave that there again. So I'm going to do that on my piece now. You can do circles, squares, diamonds, rectangles, flower shapes, lightning strikes, whatever comes into your head, just a shape. You may have never seen a shape before in your life, but you can have a go with drawing it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to concentrate on this blue circle here. And for this one, I might start by drawing circles that are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, that's the pattern that I've chosen for my one. So I'm going to keep going, drawing bigger and bigger circles all the way just until the edge here. So I'm going to go with that now. It looks really effective if you manage, if your intention is to stay within the painted area, and you manage to stay within the painted area, it can look really, really effective. So I'm going to really try. This is just a biro that I'm using. Biros work really well. If you want to practice patterns on a scrap piece of paper, sometimes I find that useful. You can just get a scrap piece of paper that you might have drawn on before, just practice a few patterns, see what you like best, and then transfer it to your piece. So I have done lots and lots of circles here, and then I think actually I'm going to make it into a flower. So around the outside I'm going to draw some petals. So I'm going to start by doing that. I may choose, once it gets to this green area here, I may choose to actually continue with the petals over the top, or I may choose to miss this bit out and continue. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to miss the green out and just continue drawing these petal shapes all of the way around. like so. You can see I've missed out that green section here. I've just kept going with the petals. I might do some zigzags. So just experiment with filling in all of those coloured shapes that you've painted. The lovely thing about this project as well is actually, if you're not so keen on your piece, or you're not so keen on a part of your piece, you can just cut a section out. So you can get your scissors and cut a section out of the bit that you do like. They make wonderful cards. So yes, don't feel like at the end, if you're not keen on one bit, that you have to actually use it all at all. So I'm doing some zigzags, which are staying inside this painted area here. Okay, I'm going to do the same with that other brown one. And you can be adventurous with your shapes as well. Today is a lot about, in fact, all three of the projects that we're doing today, all of them are to do with watercolours and doodling. I don't know about you, but I love doodling. If I'm on the phone to someone, I'm often, or sometimes, doodling at the same time. But yes, it's a nice way of being creative without actually having to create anything in particular. You're just drawing randomly. You might want to do shapes that are not on the colour sections at all. I might choose to do maybe another flower in this white section. So I'm going to draw one of these in the white section. And then if you have any colours, you can use colours as well. So I'm going to use my pens here. And, oh, what would be nice? I think some dark green might be quite nice. So I'm going to use my dark green pen to add little bits of detail to these patterns too. Good, I'm pleased with that. I'm going to keep going to make that flower even bigger. Now I'm concentrating on flowers for my piece, but flowers might not be your thing at all, and so you can just make up really unique patterns that I'm not doing at all. You can just make up whatever you like, and it may be that you do your first piece, and you're like, okay, I really like some of that, but I'm not so keen on the other bit, so I'm going to have another go and just include the bits that I really like. I'm going to have a look at my one actually. Oh yes. Yes, I liked the growing plant section. Let's put that back. I like these plant sections that are growing up through the piece, overlapping a lot of the colours. Now I'll show you how to do this one. So it's this plant here that I'm doing, okay? And for this, all I do is I start by drawing this stem, okay? And then drawing kind of like diamonds but with curved edges, okay? So if I draw one on a big one on a scrap piece of paper, I'm drawing this kind of ovally shape, this one here. Lots of leaves. So I start with one at the top, and then I'm going to do them either side. And then you might, if you are doing these, you might choose to leave them blank. You might choose to add colour to them. You might like to colour them in black, almost like a silhouette. So you might want to do half and half. So I'm going to just start drawing this. This is what I have so far. You see all of those shapes going on either side of the stem. I'm going to keep going with that all the way down. Okay, once I've finished with this, I really like it when I turn them into silhouettes, so I'm going to colour it in black now. I'm going to fill all of those shapes in with black. It might be that you've done some triangles or any other shape that you'd like to make a silhouette as well, in which case you can just cover them in black too. Colour all of these. You could draw patterns inside the shapes as well. You could draw shapes within shapes. So you could draw a triangle with another triangle inside, or a square with a circle inside. To make some unique patterns. The lovely thing about, I find, colouring in with the black is that it really, obviously it's a bold colour, and so whatever you're colouring in black, it really does make that section stand out in your picture. I'm going to keep going with that all the way down. If you decide halfway through that you want to add some more watercolours to this, just go ahead and just add some more. Just be wary that you don't want to start colouring on wet paint, because you'll start almost scraping the paint away if you do that. Okay, so I've coloured that section in black. I'm going to do another one of these leaves, I think, coming up, and I'm going to do the same. If you have any questions at all, or you're stuck for ideas or anything like that, just pop a message on the chat. So, keep going with that. It might be that you want to do this as a continuing project as well. For example, if your piece is so big that you think, actually, like, I really want to do a big piece, but probably can't do it all in one go, then you can do a really big, maybe A4, like paper size, standard paper size piece, and then you can just keep coming back to it whenever you fancy a little doodle. Maybe if you're not sure what to do if you have an hour or so, you're not sure what you could do, you could just come back to your doodle and carry on. It's great because after you've done the watercolour, and you're just using a black pen, it's a great thing to just pick up and do whenever you fancy. Or even if you're going on holiday anywhere, or to the park or anything like that, you can just take your piece with you and do some doodling. And you've got a few more leaves left in this one here. Just have a look. Yeah, great. Just going to keep going down and down on this. So for my one, I realised that something that I really enjoy doing is these silhouette leaves. On my picture here, I'm currently not so keen on the zigzags, but I can always change things up a little bit. I'm going to leave it for now, but I think I'm going to come back later and actually add something to the zigzag. I might do lots of dots in the middle. I think I just need to jazz that bit up a little bit. to make sure that I'm happy with it. One more. Keep adding one more leaf. Okay. There we go. So I would choose to carry on doodling and doing some more patterns, especially around this area. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this as it is for now, just so I can show you our next project. But if you feel like you just want to continue on this for a bit longer, then this video is going to be available after we finish at 1:45. So do feel like you can just continue with this and then come back to our next project later. So there we go. We're finished with that one for now. Okay. Now the next project we'll be doing are these monsters. Okay, so monster watercolours. I'm going to put these in here as well so you can see. Whoop. There we go. Okay, I'm going to hold it up temporarily, just really close to the screen, so you can properly see what these little monsters are like. Okay, let's move that along. There we go. So again, for this, choose the size of paper that you would like to use. I'm going to use a similar size to before. Get our paintbrush, and again we're going to start with the watercolour. I'm going to choose the colours I want. Actually for this, I quite enjoyed doing all of the different colours of the rainbow. So I'm going to do the same on this one. And basically we make lots of splodges on our paper. So nice clean paintbrush. If you have anything on your work surface that you want wiping up, you can just grab a cloth and give it a wipe. So you've got a nice clean area. And so it's always best if you have a choice to start with the lighter colours and then get darker, especially if you only have one paint pot, just because it's just easier not to contaminate the lighter colours that way. That's great. So I'm going to start with a really bright yellow. So again, make sure it's mixed well. And then I'm going to do a little splodge on my paper. Like this. You might like to do a little splodge, you might like to do it long and thin, however you'd like. At this point, whilst it's still wet, if you do have a straw or anything you can blow through like that, then you can use this. And you can see I've blown this section almost like maybe little legs of the monster. Or at this point, if you have your hairdryer, I laugh because sometimes you can use the hairdryer and it just kind of sprays everywhere. So if you're using the hairdryer, do make sure you have a space which doesn't mind getting a little bit painty. But what you can do, I'll do it with our next colour actually, with a darker colour so you can see properly. So let's do Ready Pink. So I'll give that a good mix. I'm going to do a long thin splodge this time. Okay. And then I'm going to use my hairdryer. Now this might make quite a loud noise, so if you want to put your computer on mute or your phone on mute, then I would do that now. I'll wait a few seconds if you want to put it on mute, just because this hairdryer is quite a powerful one. Okay, so I'm going to blow. My hairdryer, instead of say using a straw, I've got this section here that's just run a little bit, and I mean, I could use that as anything. I could use it as a tongue of my monster if I wanted to, or maybe just like one bit of hair that's sticking up. I think I'm going to use it as the one bit of hair actually. I think that would be quite nice. So I'm going to carry on doing my little splodges everywhere on my paper in lots and lots of different colours. I might do little splodges. I might do bigger splodges. I might do 2 of these light blue ones. Sorry, 2 of the dark blue, should I say. Just so I don't make the noise again, I'm going to just use my straw. Oh, that one on there, because it was still really quite wet. That one makes a really good 3 antennae. That's what I'm going to use them as, antennae, I think, on that one. So, a bit of green. I think I need a little bit more paint in that one. I added too much water then and not enough of the actual colour. I didn't mix it long enough. You can blend colours as well. I'll actually be talking a little bit more about blending colours in future weeks. But for now, say you wanted to blend too, and you can just put a little dab in there as well. Then it'll blend the colours together. What other colour shall I have? I have a bit of this orangey browny colour. Okay. I'm going to blow some of the straw whilst it's still wet. Oh, fantastic. I like that one a lot. 2 really long antennae there. But you could have done that with the hairdryer as well, if you don't have a straw. Okay. So once I've done that, before I go on to the doodling, I am going to want to make sure that that is completely dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hairdryer in, so do mute your computer if you would like to. And I'm just going to make sure that is all dry before doing the doodles. Now if you don't have a hairdryer, not to worry, just leave it for 10 minutes or so and it should have dried. Dries fairly quickly if you've not put too much water on. So I'm going to dry, I'm just going to dry it down here so my stuff doesn't blow everywhere. Okay. Really glad I experimented with that mixing one. Sometimes you just try new things out. It's created a really nice effect with that mix. That's something I like with these monsters. And then I'm just going to get my black biro again. And with these monsters, you can create them however you like. You don't even have to do monsters. If you actually are inspired to do something else with these splodges, then go for it. I'm going to do monsters for mine. So monsters, they might have 1 eye, 2 eye, 3 eye, 4 eye. They might have eyes all over their body. They might have antennae, and maybe with eyes at the top. Or they might have a mouth. They might have no mouth. They might have noses. I don't know what your monsters have, but you can experiment, and you might have more ideas than what I show you. In fact, I'm almost certain you will. It's everyone has different ideas, and so yes, it would be lovely if you wanted to share them. Then that would be really nice to see. So on my one, I'm going to start, I think, with this green one here. So I'm going to draw actually some little spikes down the tail, This one is a monster with a spiky tail. So I've done some spikes. It's this green one here. Spikes down the tail. Okay, I've done some zigzags. And then all these monsters are like almost flying in different directions in my head. So I'm going to draw some eyes. I'm going to draw 2 eyes on this monster here. And then I wonder what kind of mouth I should have. Actually, this kind of shape reminds me of a minion. Not the colour, but the shape. So yes, I've done 2 eyes, a little mouth and a zigzaggy tail. You might like to draw some hair on your monster or a hat. That's up to you. There's lots of different expressions you can do as well, especially if you draw eyebrows, different ways of drawing eyebrows, whether they're flat or pointing inwards or outwards. They can look surprised or angry. I'm going to draw some with the antennae on, so their eyes are away from the main body. Going to draw an angry monster here, this blue one. On the side. This one, if you can see, is the angry monster with the 3 antennae. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to doodle on these. You can decide which way up your monsters go as well. Some might be going downwards or to the side. They might be bashing into each other. Let's see. I'm going to do one that's asleep. So I might do some little Zs coming out. This one here, I'm going to do him with some curly hair as well. There we go. That's a little monster, or even a little person actually, who's asleep. Okay, so I've done those kind of U-shaped eyes, which can sometimes make people either look really happy because they're squinting, or can make them have the expression of being asleep. So I've got 2 more monsters to do on this one. Might do one with a big mouth. Surprised, or maybe he's eating something. Okay. And then one more. I think I might do zigzags on this one, all the way around the body. With 2 big eyes in the middle and a little smiley mouth. On the dark colours, you'll notice that your black pen won't show up quite as well. But I can still see it on mine, but it might be a little bit harder on your video, on your screen. Okay, so here are my monsters. At this stage, I could add more monsters if I would like to, or change them into other things. But yes, that is the end of this project for now. Last project for today are these. So I've chosen to do my background with all sorts of different colours, and I've also chosen to make it like a bookmark shape. So I've got a piece of paper, this kind of size and dimensions, but you can do whatever size you'd like. You can do a square, you can do a massive one, a tiny one. But I'm going to show you first how to do this wash on the background. So it's like a gradient wash, so I'm going from yellow to orange to the reds to the pinks and to the blues, greens, and then a brown at the bottom. And what I'm going to do for this one is I am going to start with a lighter colour. So I'm going to start with the yellows. If you want to do blues or just stick to one colour, then you can go for that. But all I do is I'm going to get my paint nice and wet in here, and I'm going to brush along this top section. I'll hold it up after I've done it. So I'm just going along, making sure it's nice and wet, like so. Okay. I'm going to go into orange next, and I'm actually going to overlap it a little bit so that the colours mix. So that I almost get a yellow and then a yellowy orange and then an orange. So making sure again it's nice and wet. I might put a little bit more yellow on the top just to blend it. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. I'm just going across because you can see the brush strokes, just going left, right, left, right. Then we're going in the kind of rainbow order. Although we'd start with red then, wouldn't we? Just going to go on to red now. So again, sweeping across from side to side on my page, making sure that my paint is nice and wet. If it's nice and wet, it'll mean that it'll blend a bit more. You can see that my my two paint things has kind of gone out the window a little bit, but because I'm going from lighter to dark, it doesn't matter so much now. So blending it like this. I might go on to some blue next. And then if I end up overlapping the blue with the red, then we're going to make a purple. So I start about here, going across, and then I work up to the red. Then it'll create very nice purple in the middle. So you haven't even had to mix the purple, you've just made it. Then I'm going to go into a slightly darker blue. Again, leaving a bit of space and then overlapping. And then I'm going to go on to a browny colour, and then I may even do a black at the edge. So working up. And then black at the bottom. If you find that some of your colours haven't blended that much, just get a little bit of water and just almost just cover the area. So say I wanted these two, the maybe the purple and the pink to blend a bit more. If you just go in this area with a wet paintbrush, you don't even need any colour on it. It will just blend it a little bit more. It's a bit easier when I'm sat down doing it. Okay, so once I'm happy with that, what I'm then going to do is I can either leave it for maybe 10-20 minutes to let it dry, or in this case I'm going to use a hairdryer to then go on to the doodling. So, again, there might be a little bit of noise now, okay? There we go, it's floated away from me. Okay, so I've got my watercolour piece, and now I'm going to draw the patterns over the top. Take this one out, put this one in. Now with the patterns, I've done kind of a mandala style, but you can do whatever you like. There we go. You can just see a little bit there. And I'll leave you to experiment with this. So you can see on here I've got a few patterns. So I started off with doing almost semicircle shapes, and I used a practice piece of paper first. So I drew the lines across and then I practiced drawing different shapes. If you want to do this kind of circular effect, and then you can get a round thing. If you get a smaller round thing and then a larger round thing and then a larger round thing, you can do it like that. Or for me, I'm just going to draw around. I've just got some masking tape, so I'm going to draw around the edge, see, like that. And then I actually am going to do mine a little bit different and draw 3 circles like this, and then I'm going to draw patterns around them. So on here you can see I've tried some zigzags. I've tried, here we've got triangles, and then with a tinier triangle inside and then a tinier one. So you can just think of different shapes to do for this. So for my one here, I'm going to draw lots of triangles around these circular shapes. So I'll do that now. This is a project you might want to spend a little bit more time on, because you can get so much detail in these. Again, this is one you can make at home and then take with you to different places. So I'm just going to see what I'm doing now. Just drawing lots of triangles around this main border that I've done. You can draw whatever you'd like. It's doodling, really. You can choose what shapes you want. And then here it is. And then inside each of these, I'm going to draw a little triangle. I'm going to do that and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so you can see just here, I'm drawing a big triangle and then a little triangle inside. I might then even choose to draw an even tinier triangle in there. So I'm going to keep going with this until I feel like I've done enough doodling. Now for me, I could easily spend a good half an hour just continuing to doodle on this, which I'm not going to do, because I think you will have your own ideas as to how you would like to do your one, but I'll continue with my one later, I think. Use it as a bookmark. So yes, here I have some shapes. If I swap this round for some more shapes that we could use, you might do a line and then do lots of circles on top. You might just want to do lots of squiggles. It's however you would like to doodle on top of your piece here. But here are a few different design ideas that once we finish this live video, if you would then like to go back on it, and if you want any inspiration from there, then go for it. But basically, I've chosen to do different shapes on top of a line and then just done them repeated again and again and again, and then it creates a really nice and full pattern. Okay, so I think I best finish there for today. We've done a lot of projects. I really hope you've enjoyed experimenting, and really that's the main thing. Is I just hope you've had fun, and if you have any questions at all, please just contact me. So I'm Hannah, I work at Flying Fish Studio, and yes, I look forward to next week, same time, for another watercolour workshop. If you have any questions in the meantime, do just contact me. And we have so many more amazing projects coming up on Artcore's Facebook page. So if you would like to follow them as well, then that would be fantastic. So yes, I hope you've had lots of fun, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.